Hello everybody. I haven't made a video since yesterday, so I thought it was high time I make another one. But let's start this with a couple of photographs. First of all, what is not on this photograph? And what is not on this photograph? Well, it's not on fire, is it? And there is no smoke on the water, is there? This is how we are being lied to. I don't think I can ever listen to that song anymore the same way. But luckily, Freddie is ready to strike a pose. Did you know, I didn't know, that the Queen's recording studio was actually inside this casino. I visited there, and there is nowadays an exhibition of Queen's recording studio. There is some original clothes and instruments, and there's actually a mock-up recording console there. And did you know that Freddie actually recorded his vocals inside the control room? I happened to stand on a spot where Freddie recorded his vocals, but well, I don't think that makes me Freddie, so I will spare you from my vocal performances. So let's get to it. First I thought Girl, Sheer Greed. My interest for this band comes obviously from Phil Lewis and Phil Collen. Really good early 80s new wave of British heavy metal. Came with the inner sleeve. Yeah, I thought this was good. Production leaves a lot to be desired, but musically I thought this was a good album. And so a few months later I found another one of their albums, this one, Wasted Youth, and when I put this one on, the first song that came on, I thought that, yeah, well, that's not a good song. Then the second song came on, and I thought that, well, that's far worse song. And then the third song came on, and I thought that, what the hell is this? At this rate, I don't think I'm going to be able to even to listen to the end of this record. I mean, that was just awful song. But luckily, beginning from the fourth song, which is the title track, Wasted Youth, onwards, this is actually a good album. On the second listen, those first three songs, they weren't as horrible. Maybe I had gotten over the initial shock, but I still think that those are the absolute worst songs on this album. But other than that, I think this is a good album. Not as good as Sheer Greed, but good album nonetheless. Okay, next one was, when I came across this, I was surprised because I thought I already had all of these early albums. This is Crocus Paid in Metal, and when I saw this I thought that, well, I've never seen that one before, and checked the year here and I realized, okay, this must be one of their very earliest albums. So yeah, I was very surprised that I hadn't seen this one before, but it took only a couple of weeks when I saw the other version of the sleeve, when I realized that, okay, I have seen this one, but only with a different sleeve. The other sleeve, it has got sort of like a peeled banana, which has coins inside of it. So yeah, good album, but surprisingly different. This is very different to their early 80s albums, like One Vice at a Time or Headhunter. Really, really different album, but good album in its style anyway. Hold on for a moment. And then this one I think I showed in my last metal update, but as a CD, now I found this one on vinyl. This is Warrant, Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking Rich. Like I said on a previous one, I still think this is a surprisingly good band for a band of this time. Nowhere near as keyboard heavy as I was expecting it to be. Okay, remember on my RSD video this year I showed this one, Black Rose double album. I told you that I found another one, but I was thinking that it might not be a Record Store Day release, that's why I didn't show it then. And it wasn't a Record Store Day release. Yeah, even though this was placed inside the box for Record Store Day releases. But anyway, this is Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, Stranger in Us All. double album. This one includes one extra song compared to the original CD release, but I believe that that track is from the Japanese release of this album. Yeah, I love this album, but the extra track here is not as good as the rest of the album. Okay, then the next album. Sometimes I don't even understand myself. Like, why do I decide to buy these albums? This album I bought simply based on the title of the album. This is Bon Jovi, Lost Highway. When this album was released, I thought that this was a Hank Williams cover song. That's why I was interested in this. Originally, I stopped buying Bon Jovi albums after the Keep the Faith album, but some years later I did buy the These Days album. After that, I have only heard this one and Have a Nice Day. And I didn't like Have a Nice Day. The title track was good, but the rest of the album I didn't like. This one, happily, I do like. I think it's a good album, but after this one I haven't heard any of their albums. But yeah, I thought this was a good album anyway. Motorhead, Overnight Sensation. I bought this because I wanted to have one of their albums from the 90s, as I did have albums from 70s, 80s and 2000s, but nothing from the 90s. So I ended up buying this one. This is from 1996, and I didn't like this. But it wasn't because of the songs, it was because of the production here. And especially Lemmy's vocals, because I think that since this was released at the tail end of the grunge period, I think they were somehow trying to like appeal to that audience. That's why Lemmy's voice is made to be really low, like growl, which I don't like. So it's not about the songs, it's about Lemmy's voice specifically here, what I don't like. Okay, hold on. Okay, next one I found this spring from the record fair. One that I had been hoping to find for a very long time. I had actually never seen this one personally on vinyl before. And this is not metal, but this is Elf, Carolina County Ball. Yeah, I think these Elf albums are really, really good. So I had wanted to find this one on vinyl for a long time, and I was very, very happy to find this. Especially when the seller said that he had just sold the following album to this, and he gave me a discount for this one. I have to say that some of the enjoyment from finding this was lost when I think it was about a month later I heard that this album was being reissued on vinyl. So it didn't feel as special anymore, but still really, really good album. I really like these Elf albums. Okay, another find from a record fair. This is UFO Mechanics from 1982, and I have the previous UFO album, and I really think that's a good one. But this isn't as good. It's still a good album, very much listenable album, but it's just not as good of an album anymore. Then, yeah, Accept is one of the bands that. I'm not actually that big of a fan. This is only my third album from them, but this was one of the albums that I really wanted to get. And Accept is also one of the bands that I see their albums on secondhand here like all the time, but it's always like this time it's this album, another time it's that album. So you never know which album you will come across. But this is one album that I didn't seem to come across, and luckily this was reissued. This is a limited edition of 3,000 copies on silver metal colored vinyl. Includes 4-page booklet with band picture and lyrics. This is Balls to the Wall. Yeah, really good, solid early 80s metal. Okay, kind of different. Again, I don't think this is metal, but hard rock anyway. This is DAD, A Prayer for the Loud. Yet again, a good album from DAD. DAD has never made a bad album, one that I wouldn't like. I don't think all of their albums are that great, but they have never made a bad album, and this one is again, good solid DAD. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of CDs in between here. A member of a Finnish Kiss Army member was selling some of his records, so I bought 3 albums from him. First one is Union, self-titled, which is a band which Bruce Kulick formed with John Corabi, the former Mötley Crüe vocalist. I think this is decent, but I didn't think that this was that great. Another one was Bruce Kulick's solo album BK3, and again, after I had bought this, it took maybe like 2 weeks when I heard that this album was being issued on vinyl. This is when you think that this is former Kiss member, you would expect it to be something like Kiss, but it's nothing like Kiss. This is much heavier. Like this is just pure solid metal album. The only Kiss influences here is one of the songs has a riff which is like reminiscent of Kiss, and one of the songs has Gene Simmons singing backing vocals, so obviously his vocals automatically brings a Kiss feel to that. But other than that, there's nothing Kiss-like here. It's really heavy metal album. And the third one was Ace Frehley Loaded Deck, which is a compilation album. I bought this simply because this includes one unreleased studio track, 1+1. No, two studio tracks. Give It To Me Anyway. So I wasn't expecting to be playing this much, but happily it turned out that many of these songs here are actually live versions, so I haven't heard those, so this has got much more plays than what I was originally expecting. Yeah, good find. Megadeth was one band that I simply parted ways in the very early 90s, and I never really followed them. I only on very rare occasions I read some album reviews, and usually those album reviews really weren't good. So when I was buying this one, this is Endgame, I wasn't really expecting much of anything. But just like the System Has Failed, which I bought quite recently also, I think this is a good album. This is just really good, solid Megadeth album. Very much similar vein to the early part of Megadeth. And again, one of the albums that I was not intending to buy on vinyl. This is Queensryche Empire. Like I've said, Queensryche is one of the bands that I have collected their albums on CD. So I wasn't intending to buy this one, but when I came across this, I just couldn't help myself. I just had to buy this one. As an album, I think this is like a really rare thing, because although this is very much a Queensryche album, this is still has got some. They have somehow managed to mix the commercial edge to this. So it's I really don't know like where the commercial feel comes to it, but they have somehow managed to mix the commercial edge to their unusual style of heavy metal. Yeah, great album. And let's end this with another photograph dedicated to you all. For those about rock, we salute you. Okay, that's it for this time. Hope you like this. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment. Bye.